illustration of exactly your point. He talked about being on a plane, and there was an empty seat next to him, and here comes this gentleman, and he said, uh-oh. And so the man sat down, and he could tell there was something on his mind. Well, he owned a manufacturing plant, and I don't know what it is specifically he was manufacturing, but he wanted it to be in Alabama. He sought out for it to be in Alabama, and there were to be several hundred jobs created from this plant, located in Alabama. So they won the bid for it to be located in the United States, as far as the lowest cost. Well, then the corporate offices located somewhere else started calling and said, no. You didn't take into consideration all of the taxes and all the regulations. You lost that bid to, I think, Singapore. So you're right. And I talked earlier about reforming our tax code. Whenever you penalize something, you're going to get less of it. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. So, right now, let me see, what was your next point? I know I'm going to get to the Social Security, but you asked me another question in between there.
Well, the fact that
Congress exempts itself. I'm sorry.
They're better than we are. They're employers.
Right.
Better benefits.
Right, and as I said earlier, I'm committed to that Congress must abide by the same laws as you and I do. I think they'd have a little bit better understanding of how those laws affect our bottom line and our homes if they were required to abide by the same laws. Now, when it comes to Social Security, I've already been accused of lots of things, and you're going to hear more of it. I am not for privatization of Social Security. I'm not for increasing the retirement age. I'm not for lowering your benefits, and I'm not for increasing taxes. So let's just get that out there right now. Make that very, very clear. Excuse me. When it comes to Social Security and Medicare, our entitlement programs, I don't believe there's any magic bullet. There's no silver bullet, and it is going to take political will from both sides of the aisle to address these issues. But what I'll say is, and this is just a starting place, okay? Accountability with the money, right? These entitlement funds are funded every year without question. They always have been. That's the way they function. Now, our defense budget is discretionary, okay? So we've got these two entitlement programs, and they're funded. So I would suggest this, and this is a place to start. These entitlement programs ought to have to submit to Congress 30-year budgets that come under review by the Congress every 5 years. You want to talk about rooting out fraud, rooting out waste, rooting out inefficiency? Let's see it on paper. And I think that's a good place to start. Now, that's just one idea, and there's got to be others, and again, there's got to be the political will there to address it. But this is a contract. Your Social Security is a contract between the United States of America and you. And
which they can terminate any time.
well, I believe that we will not, and we can. So
it's a one-way contract.
That's right. Let me just put this out there too. This is the biggest and oldest scare tactic in the Democrats' book. And they're going to come out, and they already are coming out against Republican candidates all over this country using this to scare seniors away from candidates like me, telling you that I'm for these things that I just told you I'm not. So I just want to make that very, very clear. When you see these ads run on TV that say these things, remember where they're coming from. Nancy Pelosi, she wants to keep the majority in the House so she can continue to pass these very laws that we're talking about are killing jobs all over this country. So please remember that. And if you are concerned about this or you have a question for me about this, please call me. Verify. Okay? And I'd be happy to talk to you about any of these numbers of issues and listen to your ideas anytime. But please just remember, we are in silly season now, and they're going to pull out every trick they can to make you believe and be distrustful of my position, particularly on Social Security. Yes, sir.
Martha, I had the pleasure of attending a meeting with you and Senator Sessions.
Yes.
In that meeting, there were a couple of things that resonated. First of all, was his real passion for you to be elected, and not just as a Republican, but as somebody that he has known all of his life, knew her father, and they were very friendly. She knows that she is a person of integrity. She's got high morals. She's a hard worker and will get the job done. And then the other thing that really stuck in my mind, and you were much kinder than, and I guess more political than Senator Sessions had to be at the time, but you know, he said, and I agree, this is the most important election that this country has seen. And he's been around a long time, and he sees how Congress operates today. And when Martha mentioned the positive point of taking over the Congress, Senator Sessions pointed out what it will mean to this country if we don't. And us in the most conservative, or should be the most conservative district, really in the United States, you know, if we can't send a Republican to Congress, what is that going to tell Obama, and what are we going to see with his last 2 years? We think that his socialistic agenda has made strides up to this point. We can't afford for him to have 2 more years of doing what his agenda is. You know, I support Martha because of who she is and what she stands for. I support also taking back Congress, and we've got to do it right here. I know I'm preaching to the choir. We've got to go out and expand on the people that should be supporting Martha. And also, in the next 48 days, she is going to be in very much need of money to combat what the Democratic Party is going to fund to keep this seat. I just encourage everybody to remember that.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Martha, for what you're doing. We appreciate it. I have 2 children. One's 38, and the other one's 36. They're both married, and they have children. I have 2 daughters. None of them have ever voted. I'm encouraging them to register to vote. And I'm going to ask you to encourage your children that aren't registered to register to vote. Because we will not get a Republican Congress back in again if we don't have enough votes. So if you have family members who are not registered, explain to them what's going on in the country. Take the time to talk to them. Tell them what's going on. Tell them how you feel. Tell them if you're angry. Tell them if you want it back to our country that we've always had. And ask them to vote Republican. Ask for the help. Because they will help you. But your children do listen. And they do use you as not only as a songbird, they use you as a representative of who they are. So tell them. If we don't tell them, we don't get them registered to vote, we'll never get you elected back in the Congress.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Amen to that. Listen, I appreciate, I know you all have taken a lot of time out of your schedule to be here. I am available. I shouldn't say that. I'm available to answer your questions. There is information over there, yard signs. My website is martharoby.com. And you can contact our campaign anytime via email or by telephone. Megan Stringer is with me back there. Megan does a great job working for our campaign, so you can get in touch with her if you can't find me. I'm listed in the phone book in Montgomery, and my cell phone number's on my home answer machine, so if you need me, you just call me, and I'd be happy to listen to any suggestions you may have or just hear what's on your heart. So thank you again. Thank you to each person in this room, the minds, everybody.